What's up, guys? I'm recording myself in front of a shelf full of my nerd collection. You want to see my amiibos? I'll just set that right there so you can look at as much as you want. So, on my journey through the Godzilla movies, I also plan on completing my journey to becoming a legitimate YouTuber, getting monetized, making bank, tapping ass. You know what it's all about, bro. In all seriousness, this is my review of the fourth movie in the Godzilla series, the specifically Mothra vs. Godzilla. Not to be confused with Godzilla vs. Mothra. That one comes later. This background is actually horrible. I'm moving the camera now. So, basically, Mothra vs. Godzilla is a batshit wacky-ass movie. I was really looking forward to seeing this one, actually, because I said in a different video that I've always been kind of fond of Mothra without actually ever having seen Mothra in a movie before, so this was kind of like a come full circle experience for me. And, you know, Mothra actually had her own original film before this one came out. This was the second film appearance of Mothra, but her first time being in a movie with Godzilla. And that's all that matters. And, you know, I'd seen recommendation videos and stuff by like people like James Rolfe, and I guess this movie is commonly cited as being one of the better Godzilla movies, one of the ones that you should watch if you wanted to watch any of them at all. So, yeah, I was going into this one pretty optimistically, you know, expecting a pretty good movie. And that's pretty much what I got. It was highly entertaining, but it was also just bizarre in a lot of ways that I wasn't expecting. You know, like, these movies kind of escalate in a way. It's what it seems like. The first one was, you know, it was a little corny, but not intentionally. It was a very dark, overall, heavily toned kind of film. The second one got cheesier by introducing the idea of Godzilla fighting other monsters, and then the third one took the cheese even further with lots of goofy, dumb jokes, like guys going on about how, oh, I can't walk anymore. What's wrong? My corns. Oh, you and your corns. Like, you know, stupid humor like that. And this movie takes it a step further by, it's still cheesy, but now it's also just fucking weird. Like, I didn't know shit about Mothra until this movie, and there's really no reason to go watch Mothra's movie. Like, I still knew everything. Like, I knew what was going on the whole time. It was just so out there. Like, okay, so the plot of the movie, basically, it starts out with this big, funny-looking egg washing up on the shore of some Japanese village, wherever. Just a massive egg, huge, like bigger than an elephant. And the people in this town are dumb, and they're idiots, and they sell the egg to an evil, Hitler-mustachioed businessman who kind of comes in all like, ooh, I'll buy this egg. It's about this many times bigger than a chicken egg, so that's how many times I'll multiply the price of an egg, and if you... I'll give you that much money in exchange for it. You know, the egg's obviously not the property of the people in the town it washed up on. They're just a bunch of idiot bumpkins, so they sell the egg for like 1,000,000 yen, which is nowhere near how much it should have been worth, considering it was an unidentified species, you know, freak of nature. So yeah, the main characters, I guess, are like they're like a couple of reporters, I guess, and they were, I'm trying to remember if they had any relevance to the plot at all. Man. God, I don't know why I'm forgetting this. No, now that I think about it, no, this movie really isn't, you know, the human characters, once again, aren't that interesting, but they get a lot less attention in this movie than they did in the last two, so I'm less broken up about it. Like, I think in this movie, it only took around till the 30-minute mark for Godzilla to show up, when it usually takes an hour or longer, from what it seems. And something I didn't understand was that in the previous movie, you know, in Kong vs. Godzilla, both King Kong and Godzilla plunged underwater, and it was just kind of assumed that they were, you know, just done for. Like, they're just like, oh, I guess Godzilla lost, but he's an amphibious creature. He's obviously not dead just from being underwater. But in this movie, you know, he doesn't come back from the water. He is just inexplicably underground. Like, there's a scene with a bunch of people, spectators, looking down at this, looking at this desert area or whatever, and someone's like, oh, I detected a hint of radiation coming from over there, and then Godzilla just pops out from under the ground and everyone freaks the hell out. So, I don't know, Godzilla was just taking a dirt nap for no particular reason. Yeah. So, when the moment when this movie gets really crazy though, because this evil business guy, he bought the giant egg, and he doesn't know what it is. He just wants to use it as like an attraction. He wants to build a theme park around it, and wants to parade it around like it's this big deal. And the reporters and stuff are trying to, you know, get word out through the newspaper, trying to get word out to the people that this guy is trying to, you know, he's deliberately trying to hatch a giant kaiju egg that will possibly hatch a giant monster that will eat everyone. Like, he's breeding world destruction, and he doesn't care because all he cares about is money. And the reporters are very frustrated by it, that, you know, no one's listening and no one's paying attention to their stories. And then, I assume this ties in with the Mothra movie, but I can't say for certain. But in this movie, at least, Mothra has these twin fairies that are just regular human women about yay high. They both talk in unison. They read Mothra's thoughts and feel Mothra's feelings, and they are like representatives of Mothra, and they just appear in the evil rich guy's house. And at first, you know, he reacts like, oh, what is this? What are these things? And then he decides to try to catch him. And he's like, oh, okay. Like, grabs his jacket, like, try to catch him, and I guess because he wants to use them for an attraction as well. And the fairies basically just showed up trying to warn him, you know, like, please return the egg to Mothra, like, it's not, you can't have it, you know, Mothra is gonna come and try to take it by force if you don't give it back. And the guy doesn't listen, he's just a greedy bastard. And so on and so forth. Mothra is angry. Mothra decides to go forth and protect its egg from a rampaging Godzilla. And Godzilla in this movie is such a fucking klutz. I don't know what was going on, but most of the scenes, you know, every movie has scenes of a big monster just smashing shit up, stepping on miniature buildings and bridges and all sorts of things. But in this one, Godzilla trips over stuff and gets his tail stuck in things and just kind of meanders, or like bumbling into anything like a buffoon. There's a bit where he just like smacks his face into a big old Japanese castle and just loses his shit and like smacks it a bunch of times and breaks it. And so eventually he makes his way to the big like amusement park place where the egg is being incubated, and he just kind of keeps slapping the glass of the building with his tail, trying to break into it for some reason. I guess like just going up like, I'm gonna eat that egg. Just, you know, and Mothra shows up, and Mothra, man, I love Mothra. First of all, Mothra is way bigger than I expected her to be. Like, I was kind of curious, like, how is a moth going to stand up to Godzilla, like, with his fire breath and all, and him being a huge dinosaur, but Mothra is just so tremendously huge that, like, she can just flap her wings and make huge gusts of wind. She sprinkles dust on him to, I don't know what the dust does, but it has some sort of effect on him. My favorite bit is when Mothra grabs him by his tail and just kind of drags him around on the ground, and he's just kind of slumped over like he can't do anything about it. It's great. The fights are actually, you know, pretty entertaining in this movie. I like it a lot. And oh yeah, and like the twin fairies, they have this song that they sing like together in unison. It goes like Moooosuraaaaaa, Moooosuraaaaaa, and it has this really weird chanty vibe to it that's it's pretty cool. I don't know, just kind of surreal. But what eventually happens is I don't know how relevant the reporters are throughout the film. I don't really remember what happens with them. The main characters, they're all just kind of uninteresting, like every other human in these movies. So they just kind of like fall out of interest with me. The evil rich businessman, he just goes fucking nuts. There's like a scene where he finds out that he was screwed over out of a deal that he made with this other business executive who told him he would get ridiculously rich off of this egg, and lied to him. And so evil rich guy just loses his mind and like shoots this dude and like shoots him in the head, and then just breaks into the guy's safe and piles a whole bunch of money into his jacket and tries to make off with it. And I think he dies somehow. God, I really gotta stop recording these like a day or two after I watch the movie. It's bad for my health. But the important thing isn't that. The important thing is that Godzilla and Mothra is an awesome fight. But Mothra is getting old and is about to die. And partway through the fight, Mothra just kind of loses its grip and flies away from Godzilla. And the onlookers, the main characters and the fairies, they're like, oh, what's going on? The fairies say, Mothra's not running away. And this is just her, like, going to spend her final moments with her egg, which she does. And then the egg hatches. All of Mothra's worshippers and followers continue doing the ritualistic dances that they do. Very much like the tribe from the Kong movie. I don't know, very weird. They go straight from one movie to the next. They both have very similar looking tribes that have very similar dances and chants, but they're totally unrelated to one another. I don't know, silly monster movie. But yeah, the chanting awakens Mothra's egg, and not one, but 2 Mothra larvae are birthed from it. And these larvae are much less cute than Mothra herself. But I'm sure they'll grow into it. It's fine, they're just babies. So these 2 baby Mothras are the ones that defeat Godzilla in the end, and I gotta say, I was, it wasn't exactly the most enthralling fight ever, but it was just, I really appreciate how much these creatures looked like Weedle, the Pokemon, and how the one attack that they use on Godzilla over and over again strongly resembled the string shot attack that Weedle is known for in Pokemon, where they just open their little pincer mouths and they just spit out like lines of silk, and they just cover Godzilla with it, and they keep shooting him with the silk, going just spitting it at him for like minutes until he's just completely wrapped up in this web and he can't move his arms, he can't get out of it, and then he falls off of a mountainside and into the waters below again, like he did at the end of King Kong vs. Godzilla, which I wasn't convinced then that Godzilla was dead, and I'm not convinced now that he's dead. Also, come to think of it, this Godzilla came out of the ground. Maybe this is a different Godzilla from the one in the previous movie. Now I think about it, yeah, this could be just a totally different Godzilla. I mean, they said in the first movie there could be more out there, and, you know, who's to say there can't be 2 or 3 more? Like, honestly, it's not really specified how many Godzillas there are. So, yeah, this one kind of ends on sort of a cliffhanger. Like, there's 2 new baby Mothras, and Godzilla just kind of fell down. So, yeah, which I think this movie came out in 1964, and the following film also came out in 1964, and it's also said to be one of the better Godzilla movies, so I expect a lot from it. I hope it's as entertaining, if not more so, than the one I just saw. If you had a passing interest in Godzilla, this is definitely one that I would recommend, as would everyone else. Yeah, Mothra is top tier. Looking forward to the next one, which would be Ghidorah the 3-headed monster, I think. Yeah, that's the 5th one. So, with that said, see you in the next one.